from D.C. Thank you very much. And to discuss, retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton and News Nation's senior national security contributor is going to join us to talk us through all of it. Thank you so much for being with us today. You know, Trump is threatening bombs and secondary tariffs on Iran if they don't make this deal after Iran responded to President Trump's letter rejecting direct negotiations over its nuclear program. So I don't know, how likely do you think it will get to that point?
Well, good morning, Laura. In significant development diplomatically, but as mentioned, President Trump and his first administration has pulled out of the Iran nuclear agreement that had been set up by President Obama and Vice President Biden back in 2015. But fast forward to the second administration, we're on the clock because Iran now is much closer to developing a nuclear weapon. That's really the core of the challenge here that the second Trump administration, President Trump, now faces. But also, you've got a much more belligerent Iran having, sponsored Hezbollah attacking Israel and Hamas on October 7th, and now the Houthis. And so there's a lot more happening vis-a-vis a strategic relationship with Iran. And the president is looking at a number of tools. He's got diplomatic tools, certainly, and economic tools going after the Iranian currency and so forth, and sanctions, but also has military tools as well as he goes after the Houthis, for instance, most recently with both sea-based and land-based air. He's going to move a second aircraft carrier into the Red Sea. The Carl Vinson is steaming towards that area now. And also he could, send really strong signals about moving, say, B-2 stealth bombers into the region, reportedly in the Indian Ocean at Diego Garcia. So a lot of tools are available to the president. But the challenge here is that Iran has, they said, we're not going to have direct negotiations that you offered up, Mr. President. We may do indirect. I don't think the president's going to do indirect negotiations with Iran, who, again, is getting closer and closer to developing a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask you about this bit in NBC News. President Trump also telling the agency that he is very angry at Russian President Vladimir Putin about ceasefire talks with Ukraine, even threatening secondary tariffs on Russian oil. This is another matter we've been discussing. So I'm just curious how you expect Putin will respond to this as we move forward with this part of the story.
I think President Trump is spot on here in terms of now going after less on the military aspect of this, but the economic aspect of really putting the Russian economy and personally putting President Putin on his heels. I think that's the strongest tool we have right now, and the president has, and he knows it. He can up the ante in terms of increasing the number of sanctions, especially against oil and gas. But it's not just the sanctions themselves, Laura, it's the enforcement of those sanctions. And you're seeing a stronger effort by this administration to be much more enforceable with those sanctions, especially in our relationships and our dealings with our European allies and partners, especially those NATO partners. It's one thing to certainly continue to provide and say we'll provide military capabilities to Ukraine, but much more important and impactful on Putin and Russia and the Russian economy are those economic sanctions. You're going to see those being played out much more strictly, I think, in the coming weeks and months.
You know, we've also been tracking Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's movement. He had his first trip to Asia, and I'm wondering what kind of message this sends to China. How do you see this?
Well, with regard to the Secretary of Defense, he had visited Philippines and then moved on into Japan. I believe he's coming home here soon. I think it's been a good trip. This is the first trip that he's had, as himself as a Secretary of Defense. He had participated in European dialogue with other senior national security leaders, but this is the first Secretary of Defense trip. I think it's been a good trip. We see here him with the Japanese Minister of Defense, has underscored strong ties between the United States and Japan, but also making sure that China knows that we are focused on Asia Pacific also, and that we will deter Chinese aggression, wherever that may be, up in Taiwan, or certainly with our very dear friends and allies, Japan and South Korea. One thing that was also mentioned is that he is now supporting, and the United States is going to move forward with agreeing with Japan of a more major combined operational command there in Japan. Whether or not that is right now, U.S. forces, U.S. forces are commanded by a 3-star. It could be elevated to a 4-star commander. That in and of itself could bring much more, I think, again, showing U.S. show of force and trying to deter Chinese aggression, and also bolster that relationship, that critical relationship that needs to be maintained between the United States and Japan.
Right. Understood on all of that. But it's also coming with, this big dark cloud over him, because this trip comes as Secretary Hegseth deals with the fallout of, this Signal chat group leak. Israeli officials reportedly furious that the message made public included sensitive intelligence they provided to the U.S. So we've talked a lot about, military members being at risk with their safety. And now, this intelligence gathering. Look, could something like Signalgate make our allies lose trust in us? Because this is a really important time, obviously.
Extraordinary security breach and to U.S. national security. You mentioned the impact it has on the troops. Certainly, our adversaries are looking at how we, in terms of U.S., how we do national security protocols and so forth, and how we're viewed. But most importantly, you underscore in your question, Laura, is how are our allies viewing this? Can they trust the United States? Can we provide support to the United States in our operations and intelligence? Can we provide that to the United States, and will that be safeguarded? That's a concern. What you're seeing here is reportedly in the media, certainly, that Israel's concerned in a large way that if we provide the United States information and intelligence, we don't want that to be in the public media and so forth. So that's a concern. I think we're going to get past this, Laura. But I think it's one that the Trump administration, especially National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, he needs to own this. We need to admit, and he has, that this was embarrassing, that it was a mistake. Now we need to move forward, repair it as quickly as you can, because these strategic relationships, especially in case with Israel, are critical.
Yeah, you don't want to get burned once. You don't want to get burned once and get burned again moving forward. So we'll see what Waltz's response will be moving forward on this. And before I let you go, I got to get your take on Hamas, because Hamas says it accepted a new ceasefire proposal that includes the release of 5 living hostages, including Israeli-American Eden Alexander. And that's allowing the flow of aid into Gaza. It's a weeks-long pause in fighting and the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Israel is offering this counterproposal, but has not released any details. So let's talk about these negotiations. Do you think Israel, what exactly is it that they're looking for that they might be able to get?
I guarantee you right now, Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Security Cabinet has taken a look at every one of those details. To date, Hamas has been at the table. They've offered up, or they've tried to provide, their positions of a negotiated ceasefire of some kind, and they've always failed to come and complete the deal. I think what Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to do is do something that will secure them for at least that week period of time over these 7 days or so, as Hamas purports. The other aspect of this is, I think if I'm Prime Minister Netanyahu, if I can get 5 hostages home, I'd take it. And then if it's only a week-long ceasefire, and then get some of these, we see some of these humanitarian aid into Gaza, that would be, I think, good for the Gazan people. But more details to follow here. Again, my bottom line is, if we can get 5 hostages home, Prime Minister Netanyahu, take that, and then we'll see what happens after a week-long ceasefire, if indeed there's an ensuing ceasefire.
Okay, and finally, Greenland. The Premier Minister of Denmark is heading to Greenland this week. President Trump trying to acquire Greenland, and said in an ABC News interview, military force may not be needed to get Greenland, but NBC, excuse me, but it is not ruled out. Is this wise? Is it a wise move by the president to acquire this territory? And by the way, we did a story yesterday about how tourism is up. More and more people are heading to Greenland to check it out just because of all the talk. But how do you see this playing out?
Well, first and foremost, we've had a long-standing relationship with Denmark over Greenland since 1951. It's an agreement. Secondly, it's a strategic area for the United States. Not only for our, for strategic minerals potentially, but also for space-based radar tracking station and so forth. The other aspect of this, what's changed though over the decades, and most recently, Laura, is the fact it's become such a strategic sea lanes as well as air lanes in the actual defense of the United States. And with a growing organization of Russia and China and their capabilities, both air and sea, it's become a more critical strategic landmass for us, and I think that's where the president's moving forward on this. We'll see. But Greenland is strategic, and it's important in U.S. national security and also for the foreseeable future.
I mean, certainly an interesting time. News Nation senior security contributor, retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton. Always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for joining us today.